let me first off by saying that Ashes of Creation isn't going to be a mature rated game, but if you can indulge me for just 5 minutes, what happens if they did? Now, Steven's been on record to where he doesn't want any kind of nudity or any kind of like grotesque things and stuff like that. But looking at the MMO genre, at large, we've gotten a lot of very teen, very safe. I mean, even my home of World of Warcraft, where it came from, the kind of gruffness, the manliness, the war, the blood, it just isn't that anymore. And I think a lot of MMOs just don't have that grit to them, that kind of, like that war mindset, and I feel like if Ashes of Creation could give us that, and I've always said this, Ashes of Creation is the default Game of Thrones MMORPG. And if we all know Game of Thrones, it has a lots, of nudity, it has lots of war, it has lots of mature things in it. So I just wanted to make this video because I would just think that, in a lot of cases, games aren't better because they have nudity or because they have, heads falling off or whatever. But it's that kind of mature audience thing that I feel like, at least for me, man, I wish someone would fill in that void, in the big, MMO space, where there's an actual game that is meant for adults and not meant for kids, and I was watching Ashes of Relation and his Hope Bespoke video, and he asked, why is the Ashes of Creation content creator so old? It's like, well, that's a loaded question, but I know for me, back when I was a teenager, I loved, teenage things, and I did love adult things as a teenager. And honestly, there's a lot of teens that, regardless of it being mature rated or even R rated, still end up playing or doing those things and watching those things anyway. It doesn't even matter at this point. So I don't know. I just kind of wanted to make a video and just at least talk about, how Ashes of Creation, or what the story would really look like if it had a way more adult theme with its storytelling, and I think Baldur's Gate 3, whether you played that game or not, has a lot of very interesting adult themes in the story. It has cussing, it has nudity, it has, war, blood, you name it, it's very much that kind of a game that I am looking for in the MMO genre space. And, Baldur's Gate 3 being a CRPG, I'm not a CRPG, fanatic fanboy that I have all these CRPGs that I play on a daily basis, but I can appreciate it. And that's why I supported that game, because Larian was doing something very special with Baldur's Gate 3 that was such a passion project. And I think, coming from, Ashes of Creation, where Steven Sharif has literally put his money where his mouth is, spending almost $40 million of his own money on top of all of the Kickstarter stuff that went back from 2017. It's been a long time coming, of this project, and we're finally going to get into the Alpha 2 this third quarter of 2024 for Ashes of Creation, and I couldn't be more happy to see it, but man, I just think to myself, how cool would it be if Ashes of Creation had some grit in it? And it may honestly have that. I think at this point we know very little about the lore in Vera and why they ended up fleeing Sanctus to go back to Vera. And all I hope is that it has that very political, very backstabby, very Game of Thrones-esque, storytelling in Ashes of Creation, because as someone who really doesn't care about lore, now mind you, I played Final Fantasy 14. I didn't pay 100% attention to every single line and sentence that went on, but I was able to follow the story pretty much all the way from, Final Fantasy 14 base game all the way to Shadowbringers, and I enjoyed it, but it's not saying that a fantasy game, has to have this in order for it to be great. But I guess for me, all I'm saying is it would be nice just to have